I get started, I just want to say a thank you for everybody who's following me, the people in the Facebook group who are making the books and having fun doing that. It's really fun to see what people are doing and how everybody's sharing what they're creating based on these videos. So that's kind of fun too. If you want to join the Facebook group for this project, please do so. And this is a go at your own pace project, so you can watch the videos whenever you want, take your time making your book, and it's going to be up there forever. So you don't have to worry about keeping up or catching up or feeling like, well, I have to quit this project because I'm too far behind in the videos. Don't worry, start when you can and work at your own pace. But I also want to give a shout out to two people. At the end of the last series in the playlist, when I completed the cover and did the flip through of the book, I received 2 tips through my PayPal to thank me for the project, and I certainly appreciate that. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Mary and Kim, and thank you so much for your tip on PayPal for the ideas and things that I shared. So let's get started and have some fun making a new book. So for this layout, I'm going to use the stamp called Kyoko, and I received this one from Flora, so I wanted to give a shout out and a thank you to Flora. She purchased the stamp for herself and somehow ended up with 2 of them, so she sent me her duplicate, and I'm super excited to use it in the first layout of volume 2. So Kyoko is going to be the stamp. There will be a link in the description box below for this stamp if you're interested in purchasing it. I'm an affiliate with Amazon, so if you use my link, I get a little reward for that. So to get started with the background, I need to choose some colors, and I love to use my Sarah Renee Clark color cubes. There are cards that have colors that are laid out for you that make really beautiful layouts, and so you just search through the boxes and find a card and then use those colors in the card, and I really love them. It makes choosing colors so much fun for these layouts. So for this part, this is going to get put aside as that's going to be something special in the layout. This is going to be just for the background. So the blues that I chose in this, I'm going to put aside, and I think I'm going to use these for the background. Instead of it having a blue sky, just, a sky background, I think I'm going to just do a fun background with texture instead of it being sky, ground, and layout like that. That's more like a photograph or nature. I think I'm going to just use some colors because these colors would be really, really pretty with the cherry blossom tree branches that I'm going to add to it. And these colors go with the bamboo. These would be really, really pretty for her kimono. So I think this is what I'm going to choose. It's card number 023, and I'm going to get started working on the background after I choose the paints that go along with these colors. And I use all different brands of acrylic paint. I don't have a favorite. I just grab whatever, and so they're going to be mixed brands. Use whatever you have on hand. If you're interested in the Sarah Renee Clark color cubes, there will be a link in the description box that you can follow, and it'll take you to her website and have you take a peek at them to see if you're interested in purchasing them. The first 2 pages of my book are plain. There's nothing on them, so I think I'm going to add some interest by taking some old book text paper, some very, very vintage music sheet paper, and just tear it and apply it to the page with matte gel medium. There's no specific placement. I just kind of tear things and start adding them to the page and putting them down. I don't really put a lot of thought into it. I kind of try to make it a little bit balanced on the page, but you don't have to really lay it out or think it out too terribly much. This is going to be in the background anyway, and you're just putting it down for some interest, some texture, and some of it will show through and some of it won't. So you kind of just play around with it. But that's what I'm going to do next, is take my matte gel medium or my Mod Podge and put down those pieces and let it dry. I've had people ask me why I choose or how I choose whether or not to use Mod Podge over matte gel medium, and here's my take on that. Matte gel medium is a lot more expensive than Mod Podge. So when it's a background like this and you're just adding some layers of interest, I use Mod Podge. When it's a collage and I'm putting down focal pieces, then I use matte gel medium, because I save my expensive matte gel medium for things that are going to be collage, not things that are going to be covered up. So hopefully that will answer some questions about how to choose whether or not to use Mod Podge or matte gel medium when you're making these layers. I had a matte stack of paper that are either, I think they're 8x8 size, that I had gotten years ago at either Michael's or Joann's, and the whole thing was an Oriental theme. So there's cherry blossoms. This has got a dragon image and some Chinese writing in the background. It's got this really cool image here. So I might try to figure out how to incorporate those into the background too, because they're kind of fun and funky and they go with this layout. And I'm not sure if this matte stock would still be available, because it's been quite a long time since I purchased it. It was back in my scrapbooking days, so quite a few years ago. But it's good when you go to your stash, if you know you have something in your stash, definitely pull it out and use it. And I knew that I had some papers that had an Oriental theme, so I'm glad that I found that and can incorporate it. So I might tear out some of these things with symbols and add that to my first layer on the background page. I've torn up a couple of those papers and I've laid them out, and I really like them, but I think before I add them, I don't want them to be too buried in the background, because I like what's on them. The prints that have flowers, or the dragon, or these symbols that have their names or their words of what they mean. I don't want that to be too buried. So my next step is to put on a little bit of gesso, and you can do that 3 different ways. I use a smooth gesso when I'm putting that first layer. Regular gesso is fine too. It's got a little more grit to it. I like smooth for that, for the back layers. I don't know. This is just my process. And I do, someone asked me what I'm using for bottles. These are soap dispenser bottles for like dishwashing soap, and I get them at the dollar store. I've gotten 5 of them, so I have smooth gesso, regular white gesso, black gesso, varnish. I empty them out, clean them out, and that's what I use. And then they all line up and they're easy to pop open the top, pour out what you need, pop the top closed. So, and then I just refill them. So if somebody asked, what is that bottle of product you're using, that's what it is. Okay, so you can use a brayer, you can use a sponge, or you can use a palette knife for adding gesso to the background. So it doesn't matter. They all make a different effect. If you brayer it over, it puts a nice little thin layer of gesso down. If you use a palette knife, you can take it and put it down, put it on your palette knife and pull it and scrape it. And that's a totally different effect. It's just play around and see what you like. But what I'm doing here is just, this is going to tie those pieces of paper in so that they're not separate. It kind of just makes them part of the layout. So I'm just scraping some gesso over some of that book text and music note sheets. And it pushes it to the back, so that's why I didn't want it to hide that pretty pattern on the pattern papers. You can also take a sponge like this and pick it up and sponge it on. I still want the book text to show. You can cover it completely. It's totally up to you. I love book text to show. I like the music notes to show. So this is just keeping it there, but pushing it back a layer. Pushing it back a notch. And now see how it's not so separate. And then I'm going to let that dry. And then the next thing I'm going to do is to use my Mod Podge and put these layers for the next layer. Okay, so now that's kind of dried. And now what I'm going to do is just start adding in these little cute little elements. I know what else is going to go on this page. And so I don't want to completely cover them up. And you know, what I was going to say is you can watch 100 different YouTube videos, and you can watch all different people with a lot of different techniques and a lot of different ways of doing it, but there is no right or wrong. Doing mixed media, the best part about it is watch a lot of videos and take in the information, play around with your art supplies, try it out, and see what works best for you. You're going to develop a style of your own that you like to do and that you feel comfortable with. You don't have to follow me exactly and do exactly what I'm doing. The reason I'm sharing this information is just so that you kind of get an idea of a way to do it if maybe you haven't tried some things before, or you're needing some new inspiration for trying it a different way. The way you're using maybe doesn't seem to work best for you. So that's why I'm sharing my process. But boy, watch a lot of videos and find your favorite way of doing it is my best suggestion. Because there really isn't a right or a wrong way. It's just different methods and trying different things. I think one of my favorite parts about doing these kind of pages are you have a general idea of what you want it to look like. So you have an idea when you're laying it out and you start to play. But it takes shape all on its own. So once you start playing around and doing things, it changes and it kind of takes on a life form of its own. So I think that's the most fun part, is as you do the layers and as you're laying it out, it changes and changes and just gets better and better as you go along. Okay, so here is my color cube card, and here are the paints that go with the card. I'm going to use these, I think, for the kimono, so I'm going to put those aside. So that leaves these three for the background, which kind of seems a little bit scary, but I think it'll come together and it'll all coordinate. That's what's so fun about those cards, is it makes you step outside the box. And I didn't want this just to be a page with blue sky. I've done that in a lot of layouts, and then the Julie Nutting doll becomes just the focal and she's just in a sky background, but I want this one to be a really fun background, so I'm giving it a try. So I'm going to take this cool tool. I've shown it in other videos, came from the dollar store. It's a face scrubber, and I'm going to start adding this paint. It works great for putting on paint, and I want to just really light-handed in the lighter spots of the page. I don't really want to cover up these too much because I don't think that color really goes with them. So I'm going to leave them untouched. And I'm going to just add this pretty green to the background. So I think once I get all the elements that I want on this page, I think it'll come together. We'll see. I may go, oh man, I don't like the green, and it may get a whole coat of gesso and become a blue sky. That's the other thing too. You can't make a mistake. You can always cover it up, add a layer of gesso, let it dry, paint over it. But don't be afraid to play. So this is really stepping outside the box. Using a lime green background. It's kind of crazy. But I think it'll be really beautiful. So we'll see. So that adds the first layer. And then I'm going to go in with the darker green. And I'm going to blend some of that in. And I'm going to use this part of the brush. It makes a really cool texture. Look how pretty that is. Ooh, love it. I love this brush so much. It makes this really nifty texture. So, see, I can come up here and along the edge do a green, the darker green to kind of border this. That's kind of a nice thing. And then use the little knobby parts of it to add that texture. Let's see, it's going to be really pretty. I like it so far. So I'm just playing around, playing with my background. And you want to play until you get it the way you want it. Sometimes it's hard to know when is too much, and I don't want to go too crazy. That's the other thing too. If you put too much, then when you put your focal elements, it's too busy. So I kind of have to Just go slow. You can always, if there's a space, once you get your elements on, if there's a space that you don't like, you can always come in and dab in some paint or add some more, but you sure can't fix it if you've gone it and made it too busy. I don't want it to be too busy. So I do like that, putting a green border around it and having the light green in the middle. That's going to make the other things that I'm putting on the page kind of pop. But I think I'm going to stop there for now and work on the elements and get them on the page and then see what else that background needs. But that's what I've got so far. I had that third color, the lighter gray. Forgot about using that one, and I do want to use all the colors that are on that color card. So I am going in with that light gray and adding in a little bit, and I'm glad that I did. It looks really nice. It adds some interest and it tones down the green in some spots. So that's kind of fun. That's why I love those color cubes. Like I said, you step outside the box and you do some things that you wouldn't normally do, or use colors that you normally wouldn't use. Yeah, that looks really pretty. I like that. So the gray, I don't know how she came up with her colors to make those cubes, but they are pretty cool. And they all seem to go together and make a beautiful layout. The next thing I need to do is to add this piece over here that's going to be a flip up piece. And I need to do that so that I can paint it and blend in those colors together for the background. And I've mentioned before in the previous book, this is volume 2, so if you watch the first series, I've shown how to make flips. And for the flips, I like to use material because I find that material stands the test of time. It's the strongest. You can use different things like Styrevec tape. You can use cheesecloth and things like that. But I personally always find that material works the best. I like to take just a little piece of a cotton material and cut a strip. And I put that across the page and across the book. It makes a flip that's going to really last, and material folds really nicely, so it makes a really good flip. So when I started this layout, we took pages and we put them together to make it stiff, and I did add this little, leave this little flap on. I'm going to leave about a ½ inch or so on it. And the first thing I'm going to do is on the back side, I'm going to glue that across to that page. And that's just going to give something extra to anchor it to. So I'm just putting a little glue along the edge, and I'm going to stick this in place along where that crease is. So the first thing it's going to do is get glued into place. Like that. And so it's glued to the back side of the layout like that. And it folds. But if you left it like that, paper over time, paper, as we know, breaks down, wears out, and it will fall apart. And so you want this book 10 years from now to be able to look at this beautiful book, and you don't want to go do your little flip and it rips. So this first step of gluing it in place is just to hold it. Now I'm going to take the material, and on the front and the back both, I'm going to just put a little strip of material and put that down with Mod Podge. So put a layer of Mod Podge, put your little piece of cloth down, use a little brush, and then put a layer of Mod Podge over the top of it, and just carefully brush it until it gets nice and flat, till it really flattens it down. You don't have any lumps or bumps. And then you kind of just have to leave it alone and let it dry before you turn it over and do the same thing to the back side crease. So just put that on, leave it alone, and let it dry. This is dry, so what I do is just take it and kind of fold it a little bit just to get that fold started. And now I'm going to turn it over, and on the back side, right along that crease, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put that across, put Mod Podge, and let it dry. Okay, so I just took some scissors. This is dry on both sides. I cut off the excess. So now when you fold it and you kind of score it a little bit with your fingers, now you've got a nice flap that's going to be really, really sturdy. And what I'm going to do with this is to take some scissors and I'm going to cut around the edges. It's square right now. And just cut off these edges and around them. But I don't want them to be perfect because this is going to be a rock garden pond. So now this is what I've got as my flip up. I just wanted to show this real quick. This is that piece that was on that paper. And I cut it. I need to get rid of the white edges, but I think it is going to be really pretty on this page as just something extra and interesting. And I don't think it'll take away from my Julie Nutting doll. I don't know. I'll have to see, but I really like that. Okay, so the next thing with this is I'm going to cover this writing with some white gesso and let it dry, and then I'm going to do this in blue paint. And what I'm going to do is kind of an ombre effect with it being darker blue around the edges to a lighter blue in the middle, and then there's going to be the koi fish and things are going to go in that pond and rocks around it, but I want it dark blue on the edges and light. So it's just going to be gesso and then acrylic paint. That's what's next. So here's what my pond looks like, and I just wanted to show real quick how I did it. It looks so cool. I used 2 different colors of acrylic paint and that cool funky tool, and I just did the light coat all the way. Then I put the dark paint on the outside and went around it and then kept coming into the middle, and look what that looks like. It really looks like water in a pond. So I just wanted to show that real quick.
I just wanted to say apologize for how long it's taking to get this video out, but lucky me, I managed to get myself sick the first of the year. I've been sick for a whole month. I got RSV, the virus, and it turned into pneumonia, and I've been just terrible sick. So I'm back and I'm working on this, and I'm sorry that everybody is waiting eagerly for these videos, and it's taking me so darn long. If it's not one thing, it seems like it's another, but it's time to play and have some fun again. So anyway, this is the Kyoko Julie Nutting stamp that I'm going to use, and I am going to use a couple of these other cute elements as well. And I have created a dress-up set, and this will be available in the Etsy shop. It's not necessary, so if you want to decorate your page, do it any way you want to do it. These videos are just to give you some suggestions, technique ideas, things that I like to do. I love to draw these sheets and create them. It does give me a little bit of extra cash in my pocket if you do want to purchase it, but please don't feel like it's 100% necessary. So if you feel like I'm pushing you to buy something, I'm not. You can do anything you want, and some of these things that are on this sheet you can certainly do without the sheet. So but let's get started, and I'll show you what I did create. And there are 2 sheets, and they are one comes in black and white and one comes in color. And the reason I'm giving both is because the black and white one, think of the ways that you could decorate using the black and white sheet. If you cut a piece of watercolor paper, put that in your printer and print this on watercolor paper, you could watercolor paint all these little elements. It would be absolutely stunning. Then cut them out. You could watercolor paint the kimono. It would be absolutely gorgeous. Another idea for the kimono, there are so many ways that you could decorate this kimono. I love the kimono that I did. It's adorable, and I think I'm probably going to use it on my page, but I'm going to show some other options or explain some other options. I have a video that I did a couple years ago using a coloring book image, and I will link that also in the description box if you want to watch it. Maybe you've already seen it. And the girls' dresses were in little pieces, and I used that. I copied it or traced it and then used the pieces to cut out actual materials. So cotton material, you could do silk material, you could do whatever you want with really cool patterns, and then piece it together like a puzzle. Use your matte gel medium and put it down. So think of the possibilities if you cut out these pieces and then cut them out, trace them onto material, and actually made a material kimono. You could use little gold pieces of trim to trim the edges. There's so many things that you could do. So it could be watercolor painted. It could be cut out in material. You could print it out onto cardstock, and you could use a napkin. Peel your napkin to the bottom layer. I'm sure you've seen that a million times in videos. And then put gel medium or Mod Podge over your image and put down the napkin and decorate this using napkin image. Again, watercolor painting would be absolutely beautiful. So there are so many different ways. Rubber stamping, how about that? You could take this image and put it on a mixed media paper and use rubber stamps of flowers, birds, whatever, to rubber stamp this image and put lots of really pretty things into this kimono. So this kimono could be decorated in so many different ways. Super, super versatile. So that's kind of why I decided to leave this blank. I also thought, gosh, if this was watercolor paper, you could paint your koi fish the way that you want them to look instead of the way that I colored them. You could decorate your koi fish. There's so many things you could do. So you get the black and white sheet to print out. You get the colored sheet to print out. I've also started putting them on, they're in PDF format. So these two will be PDF. And there's another set that you also receive that is PNG format, PNG. That's for if you have a updated, newer version of a Cricut machine or a Silhouette machine. They cut out the image based on a PNG image, so you would take that file, transfer it to your Cricut or your Silhouette machine, and it'll actually cut the images out for you on your Cricut mat, cutting mat, so you don't have to fussy cut them out. So I've started doing that with my hand-drawn items for paper dolls and things in both PDF format if you don't have a die cutting machine, or also in PNG format. So PNG can be used for cutting out that way. So those are all included in the same downloads. You'll get 4 different downloads, and you just pick which one that you want to print on your printer. So let's get started and have some fun, and I'll show you my ideas for using this and for decorating this wonderful page. It's going to be so cute. So let's get started. So of course, the first thing I'm going to have to do is cut these things out. I love to fussy cut, so I love to do that. This drop down pond, I'm going to cut out all these little rocks and put them around the edge of the pond. Some will be popped up to make it look different levels, so some will be higher, some will be lower. There's a lotus flower that you can float in your pond, the koi fish that you can put in your pond. So I think I'm going to start with decorating the pond. And just again, okay, so if you don't want to purchase this this kit from me, that's fine. You could find images online, so you could look for images of koi fish in books, in magazines, in online print art, clip art. Graphics Fairy has all different kinds of really fun clip art and things. So you could find your own koi fish. You could certainly easily, out of colored cardstock of different types. In fact, I might even add some cardstock rocks to these. Do grays and browns and cut out your own rocks and shade them with colored pencils or whatever you use to shade with. So, you could find images online. You could find bamboo online, and you could also find the cherry blossoms, and I'm going to show you some really cute ideas for the cherry blossom tree. So if you don't want to use this, be creative. Go online and look for other images that you can use on your page. I'm also going to be painting some of these things on the page too, so you can also paint and create your own images as well, or in addition to these. So let me show you what my ideas are. So I've got all my little rock collection here cut out, and I'm not going to shade these paper ones until I get it all glued onto the page. So the first thing you're going to want to do, of course, is just to lay these around, and I am going to go off the edge, especially down here, because I want a lot of room for my koi fish and my lotus flower. So if you put your rocks way in like that, you're making your pond smaller, so be careful about that. And you want to be sure that on this edge, because this folds up, that they don't go past that line. So those, I would put some smaller rocks on this side and just put them up to the edge like that. So I'm going to lay them out and go around and add these and then pop some up and then show you how I shade them and show you what it looks like. So here's how it looks so far with the rocks all stacked and layered. I love the cardstock colors mixed in with the rocks that were printed from the kit. I am going to put more up here, but I'm also going to add those bamboo. So I'm going to do the bamboo next, I think, and then add more rocks. I am going to shade these rocks with some Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2 or maybe some alcohol markers, but I'll add all those details a bit later. So next I'm going to cut out the bamboo pieces. And I'm also cutting out the koi fish, and I use a brush pen to go around the edges in orange because I don't like those white edges showing. It's all the little cute little details that are what make your pages so pretty. And you know, this isn't something to rush through. It's not how fast can I complete a page. It's take your time, add the fun details, because this is your book becomes a book that you want to sit down, look through, and it's your work of art. So take your time with it. So I'm going to cut out these little fish and add them to the pond. Look at how cute. I'm loving this. Loving this. Hope you guys love it too. I want to give a quick shout out to Deborah S. Thank you so much for your donation to my PayPal Me fund. And it was just a thank you for all these ideas for making paper dolls and doing all these interesting little things. So thank you so much, Deborah. I sure appreciate you. I'm going to show you some ideas for adding some sparkle and glitter to your koi fish. I also, on the lotus flower, I used the black and white piece from the other set that's black and white, and I cut out an extra piece and popped it up, so that makes that lotus flower a little bit dimensional. And then I thought, gosh, I should make a lily pad. I didn't include that on my drawing, but easy enough to do, so I'll show you how to do that. That'll be easy. You just want to draw like kind of a kidney shape like this and cut it out. So I just made my little kidney bean shape out of some scrap cardstock, and then you can take either a colored pencil or alcohol marker, whatever you've got on hand, and I'm going to just draw that little section like that. And I think I'm going to shade it a little bit, and so that's going to go underneath the lotus flower somehow, or I might even make a second one to put on the pond. So just play around and see how creative you can get. So here's how my little koi pond is turning out. I tucked another little lily pad under this rock and put this one over here underneath the lotus. I added my koi fish to the page, and now I want to add some sparkles to the koi fish because koi fish are usually have very sparkly scales. So think of all the things you could use to make these sparkly. You could use metallic watercolors. These are glitter Posca pens in yellow and orange. So glitter Posca. How about using Spectrum Noir glitter ink? So I think I'm going to play around with a little bit of different things, even actual glitter. You could put watered down glitter with glue and use a little fine paintbrush, make a few little tiny spots, and add a little touch of glitter to make them sparkle too, because you want your fish to sparkle. So see what you have and see what you can use to make your fish sparkle. So I tried several different things to make my fish glittery, and see, look at how they sparkle. The all-time favorite, my go-to that I always seem to go back to, is Spectrum Noir Sparkle in Clear. When you paint over the fish or go over the fish, all the colors show through underneath, but look at how pretty and sparkly. So that's the one I liked the best. On the little fish's eyes, I'm using Ranger Glossy Accents, so just putting a little drop of glossy accents on each eye to make their eyes look realistic. I love how that looks. It really brings them to life. So look at that. So see the glossy accents on their eyes. And then I'm going to take a pen. I love using Tombow Monoliner, my favorite pens to use. And I'm going to add their little whiskers. I didn't add that on the drawings because it's too hard to cut that out. But I'm going to just add their little koi whiskers. Koi fish always have those little cute little Fu Manchu whiskers. So I'm going to add those to each little fish. Oh yeah. Yes, so cute. So see, they've got their little whiskers and glossy accent eyes. Cute, cute, cute. Super cute. So I added the bamboo shoots to either side of the page, just at the top of the pond. I'm not sure if I'm going to do rocks around this edge of it or not. I don't know. Can't decide. I'll have to lay it out and see later as I play. I do want to make a shadow under the fish instead of it being so flat. I think I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow. I'm just going to use an alcohol marker. These are by Awoohoo. Oh, I don't know how to say it. Anyway, I'm going to just go around right along the edge of the fish. Not around the whole fish, just pick a side and kind of add some shadow here and there. Because if the fish were swimming in the water, they would be casting a shadow. So see how that looks. And I'm going to do that to the fish and to the plants, just to add some shadow in the water. So next I'm going to work on my trees. You can cut this out all in one piece and use it as it is on your page, putting it anywhere you want. You could cut it in pieces, cut off the branches and reposition them wherever you want, or use some on one page and some of it on the opposite page. You could find a branch in a magazine. You could use brown paint and a paintbrush and paint little branches, which I am going to add some to this by painting them on. So I'm going to play around and glue it to the page and then show you what mine looks like. My girl is going to go here. Kyoko is going to go right here in her beautiful kimono, and so this is going to be behind her. That's why you want to do the background first before you put your girl on the page. So you kind of just have to decide, the tree is going to be like that, she's going to be here. Do you want the whole branch, just part of the branch? I do want a little bit of branch over here to tie the two pages in together. So you just kind of want to lay it out, look at it and see what looks good to you. So this is how I'm laying out my branches. I just cut them off and I've flipped them in different ways. I think that looks really nice and it kind of puts it all the way across the page. So I'm going to glue them into place and start cutting up my flowers, and then I'm going to show you a really fun idea for the cherry blossom flowers. So now I'm cutting out the flowers and just kind of laying them out. I haven't glued them down yet, and I want to hang this lantern from this tree branch over here. And so before I get too far with putting down the flowers, I decided to go ahead and cut it out. I'm using a piece of embroidery floss. It's kind of a maroon red. I just grabbed whatever I had, and it'll go well with the colors in the outfits. So I'm going to just knot this on here lightly and tie this on, and then I'm going to glue the string down so it looks like it's hanging from the tree by the string. So I tied on the embroidery floss, I put a pop dot behind it, and that's what that looks like, hanging from the tree. I love it. So cute. Another idea for the cherry blossom flowers, I took a piece of tissue paper. This is just like wrapping paper, tissue paper, and I folded it 4 times. I just cut out a 5-petal shape. It made 5 little petals that I kind of spread apart and put together, and then I pinched it in the middle, and it makes a really cute flower that I could glue on, and it would look like a dimensional flower. So I may end up doing a couple of those too. I don't know, because I like the ones from the kit. So I'll see it. I might see if they go and can go together, but that's another idea, is making little tissue paper cherry blossoms. You can also take a paint pen or a paintbrush and some acrylic paint if you want to add some additional branches. So if you want to extend the branch out, you could just take a paint pen and make some more branches.
or extend these branches out like this with some little extras. So that looks cute too, to add some extra branches before you put your flowers on. To make your flowers dimensional, what you can do is take your scissors and cut into the little petals down towards the center, not all the way, but just cut into them a little bit like this. And then you can just shape them and turn them up a little bit on the edges so they're not so flat, like that. And then when you glue it down, it's going to have some shape to it. If you want to add some color to the tissue paper, I did add the tissue paper flowers and I love them. They look cute. And if you want to add some color to them, you can take an alcohol marker in a light pink or a bright pink, whatever you want, and just kind of tap the center of the flower and kind of go in between the tissue paper, and it soaks up that color to make them bright. And you can take that same pen and add some of that same color to the center part of the paper ones so they match. I kind of like that. That's cute, and it makes them look cherry blossom like. And I'm going to take some Nuvo drops in, this color is dandelion yellow, and I'm going to go into the centers of these flowers and add a dot in each center with Nuvo drops. Look how cute that looks. With some Nuvo drop centers. That's done, and I'm going to put my book aside, let that dry, and now it's time to work on my girl. I'm going to go ahead and do what I always do with layering to make the Kyoko just like it comes in the stamp set. So I'm going to layer her on cream color for her skin tone, use black for her hair. I'm going to layer her dress with probably different pattern papers, and make that first one that is going to be glued down to the page. So my idea is that I'm going to be able to layer her and dress her in different ways. If you've been following along with this series, you'll already know how I layer, and since this video is long, I'm not going to show that on camera this time. Go back to the original series with the first book that we did like this, or the previous video to look at how to layer your girl. If you've just found this video, it's best to start at the beginning. So I use a Ranger Dilutions journaling block as my my platform for my stamp. I'm going to stamp her on a file folder as her base, and then I'm going to stamp onto the different pattern papers, cut them out, paper piece it together, and make this doll. So here's what she looks like layered with different pieces of pattern paper. And I'm going to move her feet. So I'm going to cut across here and glue her feet in a different position so that when I dress her in or put the next one on top that has the kimono, you won't see those little bits of her feet down below. That's just my personal preference, and let me tell you that again, this is just for inspiration. So you could do your Kyoko, you could add her to the page and you could stop there, or you could cut her feet off completely and just use put the kimono over her and glue her down and end there. What I'm trying to accomplish is I want to be able to change, because I love this kimono so much. I want to do one in material, watercolor painted, and use this one. So I'm actually going to get 4 different views of Kyoko by doing what I'm doing. So you don't have to do that. You can just dress her, cut those feet off on the original, add this to the top, and glue her into place, and just have her in her kimono. It's totally up to you. So I finished her and glued her into place on the page. Now next I want to make the next one. So what I'm going to do is stamp my girl. I'm going to ink my stamp, and I'm just doing kind of from the waist up, and I'm going to stamp this onto a file folder. File folders are great because they are nice and sturdy. They make a great sturdy base. And I'm going to layer her hair again in black cardstock. I'm going to use pencils on her face to do the shading. And then I'm going to add this piece here and then show you my next idea. So here it is layered. I glued down the kimono image that I cut out from the kit. I added the hair piece from the kit on top. This is black cardstock on her hair, and then the hair piece on top of that. So now I'm going to cut that out completely. She turned out so pretty. I just love it. Love it. So now I'm going to decorate her. I'm going to use a fine point Posca pen, paint pen in gold paint. And I'm going to go over these decorations on her in gold to just pop them up and make them gold. I'm also going to add some beads to her headpiece. So I'll show you what I do. So that's what it looks like with gold from the paint pen. I love it. It looks really nice. And I added a gold line here around the edge of the bottom of the kimono. Now I'm going to take some gold thread. This is just DMC gold for thread and some gold beads. I'm going to use my little tidy tray to dump the beads into, and a needle, and I'm going to add some decoration to her headpiece. So I just made a knot in my thread, and then I put on some beads. I did a couple of square ones, a bigger gold one, some smaller gold seed beads, threaded it on the thread. And then what I'm going to do is poke a hole through the front of her headpiece with my needle and carefully pull it through. And I want it to hang down a bit. So about there. And now I'm going to poke a hole from the back side through the front next to it. And carefully pull that through so that I end up just with a nice little flat loop. And don't pull because you will break your paper. You don't want to cut through the paper. And in fact, I'm going to put tape and glue over that back side. I think I'll do that now. So I put a dot of glue and a little piece of Scotch tape just over that little loop. And then I'm going to come back to the front, and I'm going to thread on the beads that I want and knot it at the bottom and cut it off. And then I added a little tiny sticker over the string. See if you can see that. It's hard to get my camera to focus in on that. It's a little sticker for nail art for people who get their nails done with sculpture nails, and it's gold, so it worked perfectly. But look at how cute that is with the strings, with gold strings and gold beads and the little gold thing to add decoration to her headpiece. Now I'm going to do one on watercolor paper, and I'm going to watercolor paint it. So what I did was just take my black and white sheet and printed it out. I put it underneath my piece of watercolor paper, and I put it over my light box, and I was able to easily trace the image. So now I can go over it in Tombow monoliner pen and watercolor paint this. So I just used a Tombow monoliner pen over the pencil, and then I'm going to erase my pencil lines, and now I'm going to do wet on wet technique and watercolor paint this. So here's what it looks like with doing some doodling on it. I added some paint pen iridescent orange in the middle of those little flowers that I made on the outer part. And now what I'm going to do is take some golden fluid acrylic in metallic gold iridescent, and I'm going to go around the edges in gold. So that's what it looks like with gold around the edges. So pretty. I mean, I'm just showing you that this is so versatile to be able to make all different kinds of kimonos. So you can decorate your kimono in so many different ways. You can make a bunch of them. So I'm going to do one more with material piecing, and then we're about done, and I'll show you the final page. And for this one, I'm going to use the fan from the stamp set, and I'm going to stamp that onto my watercolor paper and paint it as well and add some gold trim to it. And I'm going to put the fan in her hand on this one. So I'm going to use that. I'm also going to stamp this image with the panda bears and color it, probably with alcohol markers and colored pencils, and add that to the page as well. I took some charcoal pencil and I did some shadowing behind that image on that page, and it made it really stand out. And I think I'm going to take off the tissue paper flowers. Now, I love them. They're really cute, but I don't like the two of them together. They don't go. I think if you either had all tissue paper flowers or all paper flowers from the digital kit, but I don't like the combination of them both together. So what I did was to just print another sheet. I'm going to cut out more of the paper flowers, take off the tissue paper flowers, and add more of the other flowers to the layout. It's just my preference. I don't like them mixed together, but the tissue paper flowers are really cute. So you could do your whole trees in just tissue paper flowers if you choose to do that. So here is what the material one looks like. So all those pieces I cut out individually out of material, and then I glued them down to the cardstock with to the file folder with matte gel medium, and then pieced them together like a puzzle. I cut out the little top part and added that back in. I used some gold paint to do the gold trim, paint the gold trim, and then I cut out those butterflies from the kit, popped one up like this on the body, and then put one on the shoulder. So that's another different way of having your kimono. So the last thing I'm going to do is cover this backside of the pond, because obviously when it's folded up it looks bad. So I'm going to just put some pattern paper over that and cover this backside, and then I'll show you the whole layout. So here's the final result, and on the paper I used some paper that had cherry blossoms, and I put the saying, "Amidst the cherry blossoms I find solace in the ephemeral nature of life and the breathtaking beauty that surrounds us." And then when you fold it down is the koi pond with the lotus flower and koi fish. On the side you've got beautiful cherry blossoms popping up out of the tree, dimensional because I folded them up. The lantern hanging from the tree. I put some more bamboo over here, that cute panda bear stamp that's in the Kyoko Julie Nutting stamp set. The Enjoy stamp came from there. The Beautiful stamp came from there. Here is Kyoko. She's decorated, and I did use another one of those nail gem stickers on her outfit and put some gold trim on it. I glued on a paper clip, and that's what I'm going to use for adding my changing up my girl and decorating her differently. So here are my different kimonos. The last one with flowers, the last one with material has butterflies. This one was the one that was in the kit, so this kimono came like this in the kit, and then the hairstyle, and I added the beads to her head piece. And then this one I did on watercolor paper, and I watercolored it and drew on it and used the fan stamp from the Julie Nutting set. So to change it up, all I have to do is just put this in the paper clip. Just put this in the paper clip like this. And oops, put it into place. So it needs to go here. And it changes it up to this girl in the scene. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. It's so cute. The koi pond. And then I can put a different outfit, a different kimono, by just putting this one over that one like that. Then you'll already have the head and the hairstyle and the layered kimono that's watercolor painted. Or I can put this kimono, then the material one, same thing, slide it under the paper clip and slide it into place. And now she's got the cloth one with the butterflies. So there are 3 different kimonos if you want a kimono girl or the original Kyoko girl. So that is my inspiration for this time. A koi pond with layered rocks and koi fish. And lots of interesting papers and things in the background, and then the cherry blossom trees with the beautiful cherry blossoms. I hope you enjoyed this and it gave you a lot of ideas of fun things to do with the Julie Nutting Kyoko doll set. There will be a link in the description box below for the art supplies that I used, where to find the Kyoko rubber stamp set, and for the digital kit that I created in case you want to play around with the digital kit and create kimonos and things for your Kyoko doll. So I hope you had fun. This was great fun. It took me a while. Sorry about that, but I really enjoyed it and it turned out even better than I had imagined. And I love it. So I've got this cute flip up like this that has a nice saying on it. And then when it folds down, you've got a cute koi pond. So you can even stand your book up like this. And she's standing at the edge of the koi pond. So thanks for stopping by. Go make some art because art soothes the heart.